We've got Murabot carrying, Rogue rumbling to another championship, and collegiate money has been won again this week on the Weekly Blizz.
Is this on?
Drop the beat.
Are you with me?
Welcome back this week to the Weekly Blizz. I'm Guaz.
I'm Bags, and we've got a guest.
We do. we have our second ever guest, Liqiud.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. It's going good. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for being here too. Geez, I keep looking at how my lighting is very poor right now. So, Liqiud, before we get into the show, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
So, I've been doing competitive Blizzard games for like ever, it seems like, and more recently focusing on Heroes of the Storm, doing a podcast with a couple of buddies called the Nexus Trolls, and hooked up with you guys because you guys want to talk HGC, and I love talking HGC.
It's a trap. We're actually skipping Heroes this week.
I stumbled across you guys' your stream on Twitch one night, and then it just kind of took off from there. I downloaded a couple episodes and listened to them, and then last week you guys had Bacon on from Gankbush Squad, and you guys got down the HGC tangent, and Daz had struggled to get you guys off it, and I was like, you know what, that's something I want to talk about on the show. You know, I want some guys who love some HGC to talk it with us. So here we are.
Cool. Yeah, I can talk forever if you give me an opportunity about it.
Yeah, because see, like, actually, when we're setting up for the show, I'm always like, oh, man, all this Overwatch stuff happened. And he's like, oh, but did you see an HEC? I'm like, I don't care, Bags. So he's got you this week, too.
He's got me this week. I got your back, buddy.
There we
go. Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you on here. And, yes, everybody definitely go check out the Nexus Trolls. Their show is great. How many of you guys are on there? There's a couple of you.
Well, so normally there's only 3 of us. It's myself, Daz, and Mystic Shroud. And then we tend to have a guest probably every 3rd or 4th episode.
Yeah.
Bacon was last week. Before that, we had Alebeard on from Blizz Pro. We've had him on a couple of times. Actually, the show way back when started, it was Daz and the shot caller on my chair league team, Shiz. But he is now actually been deployed to the Middle East, and he had so much stuff going on with that deployment that he...
Thanks for his service.
He bailed, so... But he's still playing. He's still, every once in a while, I see him doing stuff. Even I mean, he's got a cush assignment, at least according to him. He's in Abu Dhabi, so it's not like he's on the front lines, but
and he can still play Heroes,
right? He can still play Heroes. So.
Hey, how'd your cheer league team do?
Not that great. We did all right. We finished probably upper 10s. We lost in the playoff tournament, which is not a big deal. We weren't. Like, towards the end, we weren't taking it as seriously because we had a lot of other stuff going on. In fact, part of that was my fault. So I like to cast chair league games, and I was trying to get more games to cast in. And I also cast HGC Open Division NA. So it was like it was always running into practice times. And I was like, sorry, man, I'm casting you guys. So part of that's my fault. But, you know.
Were you guys in Pro Division or?
Nah, man. We just play down in the bottom ranks.
Oh, okay.
Messing around,
that's where we would be if we finalize Thunder Kitties.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good time, right? It's definitely a good time, and there's some cool changes coming in next season.
We played in the inaugural chair league season.
Okay.
And then haven't since.
It's hard. Our struggle is to get 5 people that can kind of get together every week. It's like raiding in WoW. Right. It's like
it's exactly what it is. Yeah. So so the interesting thing, the plan right now for season 5 is it's only going to be each league will be one night a week. So you can like sign up for a Monday night league, and the only night your games are going to be is Monday night. which makes it a little easier from a scheduling point of view. Because
Yeah.
now instead of trying to find 5 people that are available 3 nights a week for a possible game, it's and for me, and I'm going more casual this season, I can find 5 people or 4 people that aren't raiding on Monday nights because Monday's not a big WoW raiding night. So all my old friends that still play WoW and raid competitively, I can be like, no, man, Monday night, come play with me in Heroes. And
Yeah.
you know, I might only play with them that one night a week, but you know, we have fun together, and it doesn't matter how we do.
So that's the biggest thing about Chair League, and I remember saying this to Guaz back in the day. It is being able to play in like an organized 5-man is like the pinnacle of how to play this game. But there was besides like the really competitive end back in the day before Chair League came out, there was no real like structured way to do that with your friends.
Yeah.
And Chair League really provided that opportunity at a much lower level at an entry level for us, you know?
Yeah.
Right. No, it absolutely did. And I've been there since season 1. I'm on the rules committee now. I help moderate the Chair League Discord. Like, I help Super Jove out as much as we can. We've had him on the Nexus Trolls once. We'll have him again before season 5 starts. So
Really doing your part to help grow the scene too. I like that. It's good.
Just the amateur scene, right? The pro scene doesn't need my help with that, but yeah. I mean, I think it's important, right?
Maybe.
Absolutely.
When we get down there, there's stuff I want to talk about, but like, to me, the amateur scene feeds the pro scene, right? So if we can like build a really healthy amateur scene, the pro scene gets that much better.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's like that's like I guess we're gonna be stuck in weekend gaming for a while, but that's how that's like one of Solid Jake's ideals, right? I feel like he wants to grow the amateur scene, and kind of that's why he does the his Arcanum. Does the Arcanum, and he does the Open Division, and that's what he's trying to do. The grassroots heroes, as he likes to call it.
Right.
So before we tangent off even more, and we end up with like a 14-hour show. Let's start getting into it. Bags, I know that like you were busy this week, but let's get into the weekend gaming. Bags, how was it?
So I haven't played a ton of video games this week, unfortunately.
All right, he's done nothing.
I had jury duty, and then I got selected for the jury, so I can't really like describe the case because I'm not allowed to do that. But I can say that I'm on jury duty, and it's a 2-hour commute there and back every day, and that's awful. And then I had to work at my actual job, over the weekend. So I've just basically been full throttle for the last like 7 days, and it's going to continue to be that way. But I'm excited to do some Heroes 2.0 this weekend, and maybe a little bit tonight. And that's about it, man. What about you, Guaz?
Well, as you guys can see, I am not in my house. I'm down in Florida for work, so my week was basically travel, getting set, getting ready for work, and playing Overwatch over the weekend. And then I watched the 2.0 reveal today, and I played a few games and opened my boxes. But that was basically it. Liquid, how about you? How was your past week in the Blizz world?
My past week in the Blizz world has been casting HCC Open Division last week, playing some games, and doing some podcasts. And all the games have been Heroes. I was actually on a goal. I wanted to get Valir to 10 before 2.0 launch because I wanted the Master Skin. I didn't make it because I ended up spending the weekend with the kids. But I just crafted the skin this morning this afternoon after opening all my boxes. So, you know, I still got the skin I was looking for. And
see, lucky you, because not even 2 weeks ago I'm saying to Bags, dude, I love the Lunar Li Ming skin. I can't wait. Like, I'm not going to buy it, though, because I could get it for free in 2 weeks. Right? Log on today, open my boxes, and then I was like, you know what? Okay, I didn't get it. Let me go craft it. They took it out. They took it down. It's gone.
Oh, no. It's one of the skins you got to wait to be available.
Yeah, so I'm like, had I known they were going to do this, like, I would have actually bought it. I was so upset.
Yeah. That was one of those, like, some people were checking, were hopping back and forth beta to live. They'd make a list of what they wanted, go to beta, see if it was there, on the off chance that it was gone. But some of the skins that were on beta didn't show up when it went live. So,
really?
Yeah, I don't remember the list. Somebody in Reddit put a list together, but there were, like, probably 3 or 4 skins, and that may have actually been one of them.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I was pretty heated about it. But yeah, all right. So uneventful week for two of us, and at least you were productive, Liqiud, unlike us. So okay, let's start getting into the show because we're going to. Overwatch was actually pretty short this week, and I mean a little bit of stuff not really important happened in Heroes. Like I don't know if anything even happened. So let's get into Overwatch, where we had the Rivalcade Rumble over this past weekend, and now this is important because EnvyUs was finally back. Like they're back in the States, for like a week, and so this was their first time playing against other NA teams since December.
Not December, but Cloud9 as well too, right?
Yeah. So this was pretty exciting because, or I think Cloud9 participated in like one of the monthly melees. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was EnvyUs was finally back. And Rogue has been on this 3-month like Alienware monthly melee win streak, but they haven't played EnvyUs, and I can't remember if Cloud9 was in one of the monthly melees, but still, like they got to play
they might have
Cloud9.
been in the
Plus,
most recent one.
No, I think it was the one before it, but. But still, this was a new Cloud9 lineup. They benched Mendo, and I forget who else they benched, and they imported 2 Korean players along with they've had a Korean coach that came, I think, from Apex. I think it's like when he started. And so they brought in these 2 new players, completely shuffled up players' roles, like Gods instead of being a DPS player or like a flex player. Now he's their main tank. Think Rib, who was their main tank, was now their support player. So it was very, very strange. But then you had the usuals that have been here: Immortals, Selfless, LG Evil, all these teams. So it was an exciting weekend to watch all these teams. And besides the fact that this is the first time EnvyUs has played NA teams since December, this is also their first offline tournament in months. Because they've just been in Korea over and over and over again. And news about EnvyUs, Internet Hulk also announced that he left the team on Friday. The first games that they played, and people were like, whoa, where's Internet Hulk? He announced on Twitter that his contract ran up and he was exploring other options. That
was a huge curveball.
It was, and
A little bit.
First, it was announced that he was going to join Laser Kittens, which is an EU team, as their head coach as a trial basis. But then today, over on another podcast, Overview, he announced that he's actually trialing as head coach and analyst for Rogue, and he's going with Rogue over to Korea for Apex Season 3. So I guess he just can't get enough of the food over there, because if you follow his Twitter account, you know how much he loves the food there. So EnvyUs had a new player, Louis, who's been top 10 every single season in NA, and at one of the seasons he was even top 10 in EU. I don't know exactly when he joined the team and how much practice he had, but they didn't look good at all. You had your classic Taimu, Widowmaker, and Roadhog plays that are just always amazing, but the team itself just didn't look good. They had Harry Hook switch back over to Lucio, where he was their DPS player when they made the roster switch back in Season 1. And so he's back on Lucio, and it's just, I don't know. The team doesn't look like EnvyUs, honestly. And they leave for... Now, mind you, they have 3 weeks until their first match in Season 3, in Apex Season 3. But they need to work out a lot of kinks before in 3
chemistry
weeks.
Going, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, get over there, and then start scrimming those teams. So I don't know how... Honestly... don't know how EnvyUs is going to do over there this year. But anyway, we're not talking about that because that's still a week away. We're talking about the Rumble, which...
In the jungle
online. Now, a lot of the matches went the way that it was supposed to. You had Rogue versus Splice, and Splice hasn't really been, a top team, I think, ever, really. But you had Rogue versus Splice, and Rogue took that 2-0. You had Cloud9 take Selfless, and that was actually Cloud9's only match win, which was against Selfless, which was also kind of a shock because if you followed the monthly melee, Selfless keeps up with Rogue. Like, they've taken them to the full 5 games, full 5 maps in the monthly melee 2 out of the last 3. So like in fact, I think it was the last 2 that they both competed in.
Yep.
So that was actually surprising that Cloud9 did that. EnvyUs they showed a little bit of rust, but they were able to take Rise Nation fairly easily. And then Immortals 2-0'd LG Evil. Now, LG Evil has also dropped down from where they were like 3 months ago, where everybody was expecting them to do, huge things. They've dropped down significantly. Going to lower bracket, you had Selfless versus Splice, and Selfless won that. LG Evil beat Rise Nation. But then, like I said, Cloud9 had only won one series, and that was against Selfless because LG Evil 2-1 them to knock them out of the tournament. And Selfless then 2-0'd Immortals. Now, that's happened before in the monthly melees, but I don't know. I personally expected a little bit more from Immortals. Immortals is also my full NA team.
Yeah.
Like I'm an EnvyUs fanboy.
NA team.
But yeah, they're my true NA team. I believe they're all also. I think 5 of the 6 are from America also, and then I believe their tank. I forget his name. Nomi, I think. He's from Mexico, which in the past has actually caused them trouble just because of like visa issues. But it's still NA, so I love it. They're a true NA team. I love them. And the reason Immortals were even in the lower bracket is because EnvyUs dropped them down, and then Rogue beat Cloud9 earlier. So the upper bracket finals were Rogue versus EnvyUs, which is what everybody expected. What people didn't expect was for Rogue to 2-0 them, like fairly easily 2-0 them in the upper bracket to knock them down. And so they had to go against Selfless in the lower bracket, and that was actually a pretty tight matchup. EnvyUs ended up winning it 2-1, but if you watched it, it could have gone either way. It could have easily gone to Selfless.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty exciting lower bracket final. And then, so you had the grand final, best of 5. All the other ones are just best of 3. Rogue versus EnvyUs again. And this time, Rogue took the first map, which was on Gibraltar. And it was actually, EnvyUs actually didn't even get to a point.
I saw that.
Like,
they didn't even
yeah, they didn't even reach the first point, and Rogue had gotten all 3, or not all, but they had pushed to 3 like really easily. So that was actually like quite a shock. But then you go to King's Row, which back in the day used to be EnvyUs's map. Like nobody could stop EnvyUs on King's Row until like 3 months ago or so. But it looked like they finally got it back. They were able to push all 3 points, but in a significantly less time. They pushed it in 5 minutes 49 seconds, where it took Rogue all 3 minutes, or I'm sorry, all 8 minutes just to like get 3 points. So EnvyUs took there, looking strong again, and then on Dorado, EnvyUs was able to get all 3 points, but it took them the whole time. But they were able to stop Rogue with only 2 points. So EnvyUs is up 2-1, and now what I hate resets. But now if EnvyUs won this series, it was going to just cause a bracket reset. So then they would have had to win another best of 5, which I personally hate in tournaments. I think it
works in fighter games, which is where they normally use it. So like Street Fighter 5, for example. But that like to do 10 matches of Overwatch is just like that would be a marathon.
It's even worse when they do that in like Heroes.
Yeah, agreed.
Like it's a final, and that's the final. You don't need a grand final after that because the dude won the final who came from the lower bracket. Just move on.
Yeah,
I completely agree. I hate it, but Rogue ended up winning the next map on Hollywood, where actually again like showing dominance. They only allowed EnvyUs to take the first point, and that was it. Where Rogue had pushed all 3. Game 5, backs against the wall. This was on Nepal. It was actually like it was back and forth. EnvyUs took the first round of Nepal, where it was 100-0. So all of a sudden you see that and you're like, okay, here's the EnvyUs we know. Second map though goes to Rogue, 100-99. So this is how close this was. But then from there it starts to go down. Rogue takes the next one 100-59, and then they take the fourth and final 100-36. So EnvyUs really started to break down there. A lot of kinks that they have to work out before Korea, and if they even want to make the playoffs in Apex Season 3, they're going to have to work out a lot of kinks. But so you have Rogue winning again, another $6,000 in their pocket. So that's like, I don't know, almost $30,000 that they've won in the last like 3 months. Maybe actually no, yeah, a little bit more than that, like almost $40,000. So Rogue is looking strong going into Apex, but again, this is the first time they played EnvyUs. They haven't been in Korea since Season 1, and even still, that Rogue that was there, that roster is different than what it is now, because they had like that big 3-way trade going on there, and then a couple new players coming in. So they are looking strong, but we're gonna have to wait and see. I believe their first match actually is in a week. I think it's like the first week or the second week of Apex. So we're going to get to see Rogue, how they play over there really soon, and EnvyUs will have to wait 3 weeks.
I'm
excited too.
They're on fire. We get to see how on fire they are once they get over there to Korea.
Yep.
I think you and I agree on this, that EnvyUs, like, I'm sure they're rusty. They haven't really played, since they got knocked out of OGN. And,
yep.
With I don't know if the team was blindsided or if they were prepared for Internet Hulk to leave, but, you lose your captain, your heart and soul. The guy who literally started the team leaves, and then which forces other players to move to other roles. It's just...
Well, I don't think that they were blindsided because they knew his contract was coming up, if that really was the reason.
Yeah.
And... So, like, they knew that was coming up, and he probably had talked about it before. So he was probably also, like, they probably knew he was going to do this, and they were bringing in Louis, as like a trial to test him out beforehand. So, like, they probably scrimmed with him. But again, scrimming is practice.
Gotta gel.
Yeah,
they need time.
Practice is practice. Practice means nothing.
We talking about practice?
Exactly. So, I don't know. They're gonna have to work out a lot of stuff. But that was Overwatch. Not much, because we just need
a big deal.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we need Apex to start.
That's soon, though.
And we got to see Lunatic High. Runaway had a roster change up, even though it was just a sub player, so it's not like a huge impact of the Runaway that took second place.
Hey,
Lunatic High brought in 2 new players. A bunch of teams had roster swaps and trades and everything.
No, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm gonna. The 2 players that Lunatic High added are already off the team.
Didn't even see that, so they're gone already. Things are happening in Korea that we need this to start. So that way we don't have to spend the whole show on Heroes.
Listen, there's a lot to cover in Heroes. I can't help it that Overwatch just isn't as busy or as impactful.
For 1 week!
This
is the first week ever. But you know what? You just wait till Apex starts, since that lasts like 42 weeks just for 1 season. And we're going to have a lot more.
I really trimmed down on the Heroes notes this week, but it's still so much. There's so many great storylines in Heroes. So I don't know.
Probably should have warned people this is going to be a long show no matter what, because there's a lot for Heroes.
Oh yeah.
So with that nice smooth segue. Gosh, I think the lighting's like getting even darker. I should sit right here so the
monitor will light you.
Yeah, the monitor.
I mean, you look like you got some color, so if you just get like a little closer to the camera, you're going to start glowing, and that'll provide all the lighting you need.
I was on a boat while you guys were playing Heroes. So with that nice smooth segue, how about we get into the Heroes news?
All right. Well,
nothing happened. Cool. Show's done, everybody.
No, but seriously. So NA, coming at you with just like its unpredictability through the roof. Still, it's consistently inconsistent. You think something's gonna happen, and then the opposite's gonna happen. That's how you predict what happens in NA.
Right.
The only thing that I guess went par for the course is about basically the same 4 teams showed up in the... Well, you casted this. There you go, Liqiud. It was the Open Division. So looking for more esports, man. Tell us.
Give us your insight on that.
So what's interesting here is I'm looking at the notes and I agree. First of all, LFM is like just continues to dominate, right? This is their 3rd win in a row. They have 520 points right now in Open Division. They're like guaranteed first seed in the playoffs that are coming up. Not next week, because next week is the final cup, but 2 weeks after that.
Yeah.
But the thing for me that like is the biggest takeaway. So Imported Support's actually the team I ended up casting all the way through the semifinals. They looked really, really solid. But I was talking to Cavalier Guest, who is casting UTA, and he said that in talking to UTA before they started Monday night, UTA said they were feeling off their game, and it showed. They finished 3rd. They had kind of a lackluster performance, especially when you compare it to what they did in Dorm. but they're still far enough ahead that they'll have a good seed going into playoffs. So I think UTA is looking at this as, look, we know we want to do well. We got our college scholarship already done. Now we're just trying to secure a spot in HGC. All we need to do is stay in the top 4 going into the playoffs, and then take our chances in the playoffs and try and earn one of those 2 spots into the Crucible. And I think that's what they're doing. I don't know that that's what they're doing because they haven't actually said that, but it would make sense, right? If you look at it from that point of view, you guys have won. Practice your scrims, show nothing because everybody saw what you did at dorms, and then just turn it on when you hit the playoffs.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
It's I heard it could be Rust, and then like there's been rumblings that maybe they don't necessarily get along, and I've never had a conversation with any of them, so I can't validate any of that.
But you know what's interesting? You're like the 4th person to say they don't get along to me. I think there's something to that.
Well, it's all hearsay, right? So I don't hear it from a primary source. I hear it from other people saying that.
Was it on Reddit or anywhere else online? Because then it's true.
There's definitely if you read tweets between the line on tweets coming from the team, mate, like you can tell there's some friction there, but they stayed through dorm, and honestly, no matter what, they'll stay through the Crucible because you can't make a roster change. I could see them getting through Crucible and then immediately making a roster change after they get through Crucible, but then you may end up with like a Fury type situation where GFE has said we shouldn't have let Fury go. We did let Fury go when we can make a roster change, and now we're screwed, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I talk about that all the time because I hate that. I hate that they did that.
It was a horrible decision, and UTA could be on the ledge of making that same type of decision. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 2 months with them.
Well, hey, if they have a roster change, I mean, I don't know the rumblings going on, but I mean, if the Ebros need a new team, there's a couple teams in the HGC that could use them.
Yeah, there's definitely people in HGC that could use team members like the Ventic. Drop that now.
So speaking of the pro scene in the NA region, I just wanted to mention, GFE had looked like they were out of this world. Like they had really taken away from the Clash, like the great European macro play, and they had finally started tapping into the potential that we all see for that team. And then they lose in 5 to No Tomorrow and Muradin bot. I don't want to.
Now, I would like to point out also that before I left too for this trip, Dax was saying, I'm looking over the schedule and I just don't think that it's going to be an exciting week in HGC. And then it texts me Sunday. Oh my god! Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
So GFE is interesting to me for 2 reasons. Like they are hands down my favorite team. I love the boys in GFE. Other than what they screwed up that we previously mentioned. But I only wrote down 2 words on my notes about GFE, and it was just a mess. And like that describes what happened Sunday. It was a disaster. But on another podcast that I do, 323 Weekly, we were talking about how when GFE has to prepare for 2 teams, they struggle with it.
Yeah.
So if they're only focused on one team, in fact, I think Dredd and Gilly brought it up Friday night when they were talking to Akaface, right? Like, and he's like, no, we're fine. We planned for this. I'm like, no, you guys, when you have 2 teams to prepare for, you guys suck. But when you have 1 team to prepare for, you do really, really well. Well, you're going to have this 2-team thing to deal with through the rest of HGC. So, like, they need to get it together.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Are you a fan of Fan?
Fan is my boy.
Fan's
I love Fan.
Yeah.
Fan, Crone, and Udall are like sucked me into that team 100%. and in fact, I loved Fan and followed him from Cloud9 to Naventic, and then those boy brothers drive me nuts, Zuna and Kenma.
Sound like
and so I was happy to see Fan leave Naventic and go to GFE, and I was like, dude, this is great. It's Fan and it's Crowan, like, and Udall. Like, you have the number 1 and the number 2 Lee Ming players on the same team. You have the number 1 and the number 2 Falstad players on the same team. Like, this is great. Like, this is the best team we're ever going to see. And then they just can't.
They can't get it together.
The potential's
it's
there.
bizarre.
They just need to harness it.
Well,
it's like everyone's been saying.
What you said, though, too, about how you followed Fan and, like, when he left and everything, you and I could talk about this forever because you can ask Bags. I basically have voiced the same thing so many times about when he was on Noventic. And then when he left them, I was like, as soon as I heard that he went to Gale Force, I was like, oh, thank you.
Right? Like, he had to get off that team. That team was just poison for him. So I'm glad he left. And now it's just...
You
know what? And the interesting thing, in my opinion, GFE needs, like, a strong manager coach. Like, that's what they need. They need someone to, like, smack them upside their heads and be like, this is what you guys need to do.
Well, the interesting thing, too, about their team is that I believe it's Huge, right? That's working with them as an analyst.
Right.
So it's like you have somebody also that just won Dorm because, apparently if you haven't won Dorm, you can't. It's like
you can't be associated with GFE.
You have to win, right?
Exactly.
You have to win Dorm to be on in any way
to be associated with Gale Force. Yes, exactly. So it's like they have that too. But yeah, I agree. They need because I think they have a coach. I'm not sure, but like they need a stronger one.
Part of that, I think, is ownership, right? Right? Like, I think the problem with the owner, like, if you look at the history behind GFE, right? Dude had money and wanted an esports team. He created GFE, and that's what he has. But he doesn't have,
right?
Like, I mean, look, honestly, I told my wife, if we were independently wealthy, I would have done the same thing. 100%, I would have the team, right? That's what I would do.
Thunder Kitties would be a reality if either of us had money right now.
Right? Like, that's just what you would do. But the thing with GFE is, so the guy doesn't have the experience he needs to really run the team, like the Liquids and the Fanatics and the, like, if you look at all the really good solid teams, ignore Korea because that's a whole different ball of yarn. But if you look at the solid EU teams, there's strong leadership from a like organizational perspective, and there's nothing wrong with the dude that started GFE. More power to him. He started a esports organization when people were still like doubting esports was real, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But he just like, I almost feel like he needs to bring in a partner that has more experience in esports to turn that team around.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree with that.
So
something needs to happen over there. They need to start.
Because they have the ability to do it. It's just
they have the ability. They have the ability and the skill on that team to be number one
discipline
in NA. They need the discipline.
There you go.
They need our old track coach, Mr. Ayatoro. That's what they need. He'd whip them into shape.
So,
all right, let's get on.
So that being said, even though GFE lost to the Muradin bot of No Tomorrow, it was. I mean, I don't want to just. We just bashed GFE for how they played that night, but something needs to be said about how No Tomorrow has played since
out of their minds.
Yeah, since the second half started though, they have played really well.
No Tomorrow is on the rise. I think No Tomorrow will end up being outside of the bottom two. I think the bottom two are going to be Noventic and either Superstars or Freedom.
Oh, don't say that to Bags.
Oh no.
I mean, I don't want it. Well, actually,
he loves Freedom.
Here's the thing, right? And this is what's doing in one of those two teams. There's not enough weeks for B-Step to logistically end up down there, I don't think.
Right.
It'll be close, right? B-Step's trying as hard as they can to go to Crucible right now. And I think if they continue on that path and there was like maybe 1 or 2 additional weeks, there was a better chance of them ending up down there over like Team Freedom or Superstars. But I feel like No Tomorrow is going to keep moving up, and then one of those two teams is just going to end up in the bottom two. Now, that's not to say that Team Freedom will get booted.
They're on the rise.
Noventic's in trouble.
Oh, I think they're guaranteed a spot in the Crucible after losing this week to Team Freedom, which I guess we can move on to that portion here. Is I feel like now Team Freedom lost coming back from the break for the Clash to Superstars, but this week they came back and they won both their matches, right? So it feels like they've righted the ship. I don't know if they made some changes in the way they're drafting or what, but it seems like they made the adjustment to perform better or at least more consistently, because they're another one of these NA teams that are all over the place. So they beat GFE, but then they lose the No Tomorrow. It's like
right. Don't forget about play Tempo Storm next week or on Friday.
No. Coming up, they have a tough schedule, but
right, and that's why I'm putting them down there.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll get eliminated, but their schedule that they have going in is just tough, and it's going to keep them down on the bottom in the bottom three. You know.
Yeah, and also with that team too is like you see all the time that there's a lot of internal struggles, internal drama going on with No Tomorrow constantly. Like
Yeah.
they played, I forget what it was. It was just like a for fun tournament, a couple weeks ago, and you see on Airho's Twitter that his own teammates called him stupid for. He didn't say who, but called him stupid for like draft decisions and calls. It's like you don't do that.
No, but
then
somebody
they come
was,
back
right?
But then they come back this week, and even before he had his computer issues, they were playing so strong, and then Murabot for the win.
Carried for the win.
Well, that's going to be the problem, right? Because Murabot carried him in. It's like, okay, well, do we need to? I mean, I know in jest it's do you sign Murabot, but at the same time, like, maybe Airho's not working,
which is depressing because he just had the interview on Gasu talking about how he had finally worked his way into being the sole shot caller on the team, and it's just
right.
By worked his way, you mean bullied his way into it, but
right.
So we'll see.
I mean, look, he went there's a reason he went from Naventic to Tempo Storm to here, right?
Yeah,
and that reason is not because he's like the greatest player in the world.
I think he's a better honestly, I think he's a better coach and analyst than he is a player.
Yes, I would agree with that.
If you ever watch his streams, he's very knowledgeable about the game and knows like what and when should be done, but just mechanically it doesn't translate.
Right. Well, that's where he struggles. So
yeah. We'll have to see.
We'll
Unfortunately,
see. He's got the new power supply, and
So they play B-Step on Friday, and then
they have a tough schedule as well. Yes, they do.
It's a shame.
The other thing, so here's another up and down team is Superstars. So
yes,
it's like that's another team that constantly gets considered to be like a dark horse in the NA scene, and they've got great players and they've got big names, and it's just like. So they'll like win a big match and then they'll lose. Like it's just like they're all over the place. They're like a stick in the mud. They're stuck in the middle.
Them and B-Step have like mirrored each other too for most of the season.
And it's like some of it's opposite. Like one of them goes up, the other one goes down, and it's like it's a lot of back
flip flops the next week. Yeah.
Right. I think if you look, and I'm not calling out one particular person, although I kind of am. A lot of their struggles come from Hosty.
Yeah.
And he's the most recent addition to the team.
Yep.
A lot of the rest of the team's been together for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Especially the core three. Faye, Iacona, and Stray. They've been together for a long time.
Since Cognitive?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Or of some iteration, I think, of that team, they've been together.
Right. Those three. So, and Goku kind of fit in a little bit better than Hosty did. I'm not saying they're not. He's a bad player. I'm just like the synergy isn't quite there.
Right. Yeah.
And it's December to April, so like if you're not getting it, like dude, you're on the bubble. You're on the bubble when they can make a roster change.
Yeah, because it's not like it's just like, oh, okay, we've had all these months, but
right?
Like you can't really make an excuse for it because they practice, assumingly every day. They have scrims, all the time. So yeah, exactly. If you're not getting it by now,
it's probably not clicking.
So,
right.
That's gonna be exciting.
If you look. What's interesting to me especially with the HGC, right? HGC is enforcing roster freezes, right? Which is awesome.
Yeah. It's a good thing.
That's why a lot of these teams have been together the way they have. At this point, almost every one of those teams is like, man, if we can replace this one piece, we'll be so much better. But they're stuck until phase 2. So, Hosty's probably on the bubble. I don't know. Honestly, I want Naventic to be out after Crucible because I think at that point the team will just dissolve and we'll get a fresh.
I said the same exact thing like a week or two ago. I said if they don't make it, they're going to break up. Absolutely. Yeah. Or by break up, 3 of the players will be gone, but 2 will remain.
Well, no, I think even at this point, the owner of Naventic is like, I think he's even fed up at this point. If he's not, man, you got more money than brains, and keep throwing it away, buddy. Because I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. Looking at like the first just really from like the first half, it's like it's gonna be No Tomorrow and Naventic at the bottom, and then so I'm actually kind of glad to see No Tomorrow starting to claw their way up, but at the same time, I don't want to see them go. I don't want to see superstars. I don't want to see freedom. I definitely don't want to see.
Well, they don't
B-Step,
have to.
though.
Maybe they just play in the Crucible and they win out. You know, and then they're
Oh.
good.
Yeah, you know, high hopes.
On Team 8, I think more than anything, Team 8 is like my dark horse to do well, and they're doing better, but they struggle because of the way Chew 8 left.
Yeah.
And then, like, last minute, all right, Prismaticism, you're here. They never really had a chance to, like, really do tryouts or anything else. So I'm surprised for how well they're doing, and I want them to stay together and maybe look at doing maybe one roster swap there.
But since they've gotten back though too, they haven't looked like
No.
Oh,
They haven't
and
looked like
it's like-
Team 8 pre-break.
exactly.
Like
yeah,
an-
and Bags and I were talking about this too the other day. It's that I don't think that like all these teams are necessarily beating them. I think that they're kind of beating themselves because they're
Yeah.
just not playing like they were pre Clash.
My note for Team 8 is the throws are real. Because that's what's happening,
Yes,
right?
That's
Yeah.
what happened in Game 5 there, yeah.
Right,
They're-
right.
They're making plays and mistakes that are like, so you know, they call themselves Team 8 as a joke because they were like, oh, okay, we're the 8th team, we're probably not even gonna get out of 8th.
Right.
And now the mistakes and the throws that they're making are like exactly what people would have thought going into the season.
Yep. And it's
So.
crazy too, because like Justin was like really impressive part 1 or phase
Yeah.
1, and now it's like, dude, like you're not the only one throwing, but you guys are throwing pretty hard right now.
Yeah, I think I pointed out too, like, I don't know if Glaurung is their shot caller. I'm just assuming he is because I think,
he is.
yeah, he
He
is. Because he's also like the most experienced on that team too.
Mhm.
Right.
But I think even watching his you know what he's calling out and his plays also are just not Glaurung. You know.
Nah, he's off his game. You can tell, and it's
Yeah.
the
They
question
mentioned
is
this
why.
on Town Hall and last week before this weekend's games, and part of it might be just rust. He was in Japan for a while, I believe. on
Yeah, I
vacation.
saw that he took like a vacation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just might.
Yeah,
he
during the
might-
break, he took a vacation.
Which I mean makes sense because it's like sometimes you need to so that you don't burn
Right.
out from the game playing this
One-
much all the time. But now look what it did. You know.
Well, and realistically, right? Like this was the only time he was going to find the break.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So it had to be done, right? Western Clash ended. There was a week break. Eastern Clash, 2-week break, and then you were back into it. Well, then this is the one time you have to take that break.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. And I love Glaurung. Like Glaurung grew on me so much from back. Yeah,
The annoying
yeah,
little kid.
the annoying.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember last year when it was? I forget.
They were playing the
Was it Cognitive? Was that
Yeah,
the team?
yeah,
at
it
the
was
time?
cognitive, yeah.
And they were playing Niantic and they're shouting at each other from like
Yes.
literally 15 feet away because of that studio. But so I'm like, look at Glauer. I'm like, come on, man, you're a professional. Act like it. And then so from there to now, I'm like, I love this dude. I want him to do so
Right.
well.
Well, it might have been Brain Power at the time. Like after they got released from Cognitive, they named themselves
Yeah.
Brain Power for that
Yeah.
little bit. So it may have
But
been
it-
then.
But yeah, it was that roster though at the time that
Right,
when that happened. So I'm like, come on, dude. And then to now, I'm like, man, like I love this guy. I hope he like gets it. Whatever's in
Well,
his head right now, I hope he works out.
That was the other bummer, right? Like for a time, he was on Denial Esports with Caffeine and K1 Pro.
Yep.
That was like I was psyched for that roster,
Went
and that
to
went
BlizzCon
nowhere.
with the roster.
Yeah.
Right, and then it
kinda
just
fell
died, and they
flat.
were like, "We're done," right? And we
Yeah.
all broke apart. But that was a cool roster too. I think,
Cloud9 Light.
right? And I think, well, but I feel like if
That
they
was-
could have gotten a little bit longer together, they would have done well with that roster. So
That is
But
the
I do
biggest
love
thing that
though
I like
his
ab-
like.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I do love like who ended up being his replacement is McIntyre. McIntyre, I love
Yes.
that guy.
yes,
I love his play. I have opinions though about B-Step that I can save for later.
well, McIntyre, I felt like never should have gone to Naventic, and going there was like, dude, really? Like, no, please don't do that.
And then right now, I feel like he's kind of being wasted on B-Step.
Yes,
Honestly,
I only because I think B Step is. So I actually like most of B Step. There's
Mhm.
one player that if they could replace one player, it would get rid of drama, and things would be so much better. And it's like, can you just? He wasn't on Denial Esports for a reason. Maybe we can get rid of him because it's not
let me ask you a
dreamy.
question. Is he a former world champ?
He is. He should not be there. But
Yeah. Like I think it was last week's episode, Bags, that like we were talking about this too, and I think that
we were theorizing. Yeah.
Yeah, that like B-Step is like they're all great players. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
They're 3 of the 5 are former world champs.
Right.
But when they were world champs, I feel like, you know, I don't want to say they were at their peak, but I feel like the rest of the world kept going while they didn't.
Yes.
And they've been struggling to catch up to that for a very long time.
If you look at some of that too, right? Dunk leaving.
Mm-hmm.
He was a driving force behind we need to get better. Him and Fan.
Yep.
They're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to help you get better? Nothing against the rest of them, right? There's one player, I think you replace him with someone like Glaurung. You're in a good place on B-Step. But you also need to have a good coach that's going to look at the rest of the world and help feed you things. Because McIntyre will do like good things, but nobody's there to feed them. This is what it looks like in Korea right now. This is what it looks like in China. These are the things you guys need to be working on.
And see, that's another thing too. Wow, we really can get on tangents about heroes.
It's all right. It's all right. We're an esports show. Let's keep it going.
That's another thing too about like the state of NA HOTS. And now when who was Tempo signed to right before Tempo?
Oh shit.
But yeah, I can't think of the org right now. Wow, this is gonna really bother me.
I can tell you in a second because I'll see who it is. Let's see here.
Weren't they
Oh! It
like
was just on the.
before they were
Yes.
Tempo?
It was.
What was it?
Yeah.
No. But like Murloc Geniuses, but then they got picked up.
Oh, Astral
Well, then
Authority.
Astral Authority
Astral
picked them up,
Authority,
and then they
yes.
became
Okay.
Temple Sun.
I just
Yeah.
think
Yes,
of like
okay.
they were Murloc Geniuses forever, so
Oh.
it's like that's
Oh,
when I think of that.
So
Oh,
it's
I
like you gotta like cycle through it in your head,
Yeah. They were Murloc Geniuses, then this team, then Murloc, then no, I love the name Murloc Geniuses. No, with Astral Authority, and now when the day that they were released from Astral, I had tweeted out like it was literally a minute later because when I saw it, I was like, because I followed the org because I love the HOTS team, right?
right.
And I said, them releasing Astral Authority releasing this team is a joke, and it shows the state of NA HOTS. And now I didn't mean in any disrespect to them. The owner DMs me and he's like, "Hey man, like we left on good terms and all this," and I was like, so like I respond to him, I'm like, no, man, like I love you and your org. Trust me, like I've been following Astral even before they signed Murloc Geniuses. I just really loved your HOTS team. I was like, I'm just stating how this NA HOTS scene is, where you see this constantly. An org picks up a team and then just bloop, see ya, release them for whatever reason. Now, money, whatever it is. Like, obviously, I don't know the full story, but with Denial, that's kind of the same thing because Denial drops them. They release the team, so now they're just B-Step. So it's like that's hard also for an unsigned team to be like, hey, can you come coach us? Where like we could pay you if we have like tournament winnings, but that's also out of our pocket instead of an org helping them
along. Yeah.
So like
and that's the struggle, right?
Yeah, that's also like the state of NA HOTS where like that happens. Now, yes, there's unsigned teams in EU and even in Korea, but not as many.
Right. Well, none of them. I think now I'm running through it. Hold on, because I'm almost positive. Well, I guess B Genius might be unsigned.
Yeah, I think it's like what 3 teams, or is it 4 teams also in EU that aren't signed?
I think it's 3 out of the 8.
Yeah.
No, B Genius is real.
B Genius is real. So what is it? Synergy and Expert?
I think so.
Expert,
I know Expert.
Expert's an org.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. I'm checking Synergy now.
So is it just Synergy? Because Mighty Ducks is a real org. Trick is real.
Yeah, it's just Synergy.
Okay. So yeah, so 1 team out of 8 where NA is 4 out of 8 and Korea I'm not really sure about.
Korea is like
Are they all 8? Like are Raven
I think
and
all
Blossom?
8. Yeah,
okay.
I think Raven and Blossom both are. Blossom's the only one that might not be, but it's got like a legit logo, so I'm pretty sure it's real.
The rate that this is going, we may not see them next season anyway. But
the problem with that is it's Korean, right? So there's no real way Like, unless you're in the know in Korea, it's hard. But that is the problem with NA, right? And people are always like, well, how does NA get better? Well, you need the infrastructure in place in order to get better, and we're not going to get the infra. And that's why I love what GFE did, right? Like, as much as the guy drives me nuts for not having someone to really push that team and really crack down on that team, at least he's putting his money into it and saying, oh, you guys want this? Here you go, right? Yeah. Regardless of anything else.
Now, like, exactly, like, you've seen, like, some other orgs be like, oh, okay, cool, our team went to, you know, wherever. So, like, let's just use the Clash as an example. Team went to the Clash. Oh, but they didn't perform. They come back. We're going to release the roster. Right. You know, like, you've seen that happen before HGC started.
Right.
And so, yeah, I agree. Like, I do applaud GFE's owner for sticking with this and knowing that there's something there.
Right. Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah, so I don't know if he also realizes this too. It's like, okay, this team could be number one, but like, what's the problem here? And maybe they just need to figure that out. And
maybe he knows, and maybe he's looking at it, right? Like, that's the struggle.
We don't know what's behind the scenes, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, like, and they do have a good manager, Mel. You know, like she's a good manager too. So like, I don't know if like they all just need to like get together and like, or maybe like, exactly. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Maybe he should like pull Fan in, you know, to the office and be like, hey, listen, you're a world champion. Like, what do we need?
What's missing here? One, he probably has had that conversation for all we know, right?
Oh yeah, probably. I'm sure he is. So. He's not a dumb guy. Not a dumb owner. So. He's not just somebody throwing the money away and be like, I have an esports org.
Right? No, he wants them to do well. So
man, that was just
NA.
I don't even know if we're done with NA, but that was just NA.
That was NA, man.
Literally,
we basically touched on everything I wanted to talk about, so that was great.
Let me tell you something.
So
last night I text Bags. I'm like, dude, cut the heroes notes. They were way too much.
Little did you know that it wouldn't have mattered.
Exactly.
So, if we hop and skip across the pond, we end up in EU. And
that's the show. All right.
Right?
we used up all our bandwidth on our hosting site.
Team Zealot wins again over Team Ma. Another familiar ending over there in the EU Open Division. I didn't get to watch it, unfortunately, but
myself.
But from what I have seen, now Zealot's been really, really strong over there, and it's like a general consensus is like when they go to the Crucible, and I'm assuming they're going to win the playoff and go to the Crucible, or perform well enough to be a top 2 team and go. And
well, Zealot at this point is in. Like, there's no knocking them out.
They just have to win or play through the Open Division playoff.
Yeah,
right? And then, and qualify for the Crucible. But
I can't see them losing that. So
exactly.
And now I had heard. I think one of the casters were saying. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think one of the casters were saying that this is kind of an interesting bracket too, where it's not necessarily like one is going to play 16. It's like bottom just like keeps going up, right?
No, that's the pro teams.
The playoff,
Right, that's the pro team playoff to figure out who's going into the brawl.
The step ladder. Okay, that's the step ladder bracket for the HGC playoffs.
Okay.
But yeah, Team Zealot defeats Team Ma. Basically, they've been 1-2 in the standings for the entire season of the Open Division, and both teams have been really impressive, and Team Zealot especially so. It's basically like it's a general consensus as far as like everyone that's in the scene is that if Team Zealot faces off against B Genius is just like, see you later.
Not just B Genius. If Team Zealot faces off against either B Genius or Synergy,
which is probably what it's going to be.
Synergy is the one that's falls, right?
Yeah.
Even Team Ma. Team Ma is not like shabby, right? Like, they're also a quality team. So I expect actually both of those teams. I expect 2 teams in Europe to get knocked out possibly.
So and that's the EU scene though. It's really deep. Like, the entire EU scene is extremely competitive, whereas NA it seems it's very top heavy and just all over the place.
Even Leftovers did really, really well, but they had to just take a forfeit in the last game because internet dropped out and they couldn't get reconnected. And they had to just take the forfeit.
Hashtag esports problem.
Right?
So What I wanted to mention though was Tricked has been like basically is like the EU version of No Tomorrow. They've been on fire lately. They have worked their way up to the middle tier of the EU region where before they were sitting. It was like a 3-way tie at the bottom with Tricked, Synergy, and Be Genius. They played their way up. They're actually ahead of the Mighty Ducks now. Well, playing Ducks, but we call them Mighty Ducks on the show.
Mighty Ducks.
Liqiud.
I kept looking at that going, man, I know it's playing Ducks. Am I missing something?
What's going on?
Yeah, we refuse. Our 90s childhood nostalgia refuses to acknowledge their real name.
It's cool. I get it.
So they have made their way up ahead of the Mighty Ducks, and they're actually just behind Team Expert, which is like continues to mirror Team 8. It's like Team Expert is literally the Team 8
EU version.
Yeah, exactly. And they are in a tailspin as well. They haven't won since the return of the break from the break. And then there's some internal strife going on here because Blade posts this I don't want to say sweet twit longer, but this twit longer that's really informative as to what's going on over there and why Athero was playing for him this past weekend.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I did read it, but I would have to pull it up again to.
Yeah, I missed it. What happened?
They basically said, "Yo, man, you're the reason we're losing. We're gonna start trying out replacements for you." And he's like, and he had to come to terms with that and say, "Oh, shit."
And he
can I say that here? Are you guys like?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
All right, good. So yeah, he was like, he starts freaking out, realized that he was, and like, look, Blade is a cool dude.
At first, yeah.
But he was totally in denial. But he was part of the struggle Team Expert was having was his play, and so now he was like, all right, I'm going to totally turn this around. I'm going to play better. You know, I got this, guys. I understand that you guys have a problem and you're trying out people to replace me, but I'm going to play better, right? And then they lose to Tricked. And it's like,
oh, maybe not.
So, I don't know. I guess Team Expert.
Hold on, wait. So they're trying out people now, or they're going to be?
Well, in scrims.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And non-HGC matches because they can't replace them until phase 2 or during after mid-season brawl. I think there's like a 2-week period where they can replace people.
Free agency period, so to
speak.
Right. So he finally came to the conclusion that he was the problem, but at the end of this twit longer, he admits that it might be too little, too late, and Reddit blew up about this too. They're like, the feels, man, the feels. They were like, we're so proud of you for I don't know.
Can I just this might be heartless of me, but who cares? If you suck at your job, get better and move on, right? Dude,
I completely agree. Yes.
Man, I don't need the feels. Cool. I'm happy that you have realized that you were the problem and the reason your team is struggling. Now either get better or get gone. That's how it works, man.
Yeah.
Right? This is real. This is you're affecting 4 other people. Pull it together. And I think what's going to be interesting is what happens Friday at noon Eastern, right? Playing Ducks play Tricked Esports, or Mighty Ducks rather. And if the Mighty Ducks win that game, then what? Dude, you're just continuing the decline of your team here. And you can't put it all on one player, but at the same time, the warrior position is key in Heroes.
Yeah.
So, and I think in the pro scene, it's generally acknowledged to be the most crucial part of the team.
Right.
You have the heaviest hand in deciding whether your team wins or loses, and it
you
showed
pick
with
the engages. You peel in any competitive Heroes period, the warrior sets the tone for the entire team.
And which is not to circle back to GFE, but it's when they didn't have a steady tank,
right?
It showed. It was
right. When it's hey man, we're 4 flexes and a support. Everybody's how's that supposed to work exactly?
Yeah.
And they answered it like crap.
So.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah. If you're their tank and you're just playing poorly, I can't tell you how many times because I'd rather have Bags play support or play tank than me because if we're just duo queuing, I can't tell you how many times I live longer because he's tanking as opposed to how long he would live if I was tanking. So it's even in the lower levels you understand how important that role is, and if you're a pro, get it together.
And what's funny, so season 1 Share League, I'm just gonna wrap it around to this real quick.
Yeah.
I had our first team that I had we lost our warrior player like 2 weeks in, so I had to play warrior, and I was a specialist assassin primarily, right? And I'm like, oh shit, all right, I guess I'm playing warrior, and I did all right, but like you could tell I was not made to play warrior. But then I was like, you know what, this is kind of cool. Spent the next 3 seasons, and now I'm actually pretty good at warrior and prefer that. So like Hero League's fun because I go in and play warrior, but like you set the tone, and that was one of the conversations I had with my team, and they're like, dude, you tell us if you're engaging, we'll follow you, and if we're not engaging, you need to tell us. But like, you set that, and if you're off, your team struggles. And you see the same thing with GFE, even after they decided, all right, oh god, what's his name? I'm totally going blank on that dude's name. Equinox. You're our tank now, but like
he's not a tank player.
No, and that's why you see them struggling still, or that's part of the reason.
I mean, like you did start to see since the break. It looks like, while some people were taking time off, he was like, well, I'm going to use this next almost, like month, a little bit more than a month, to just practice my warrior play, because now at least it's him. Like he's their warrior player instead of him or Crowan, whatever whoever lost the coin flip that day.
Right. Well, and the messed up thing about that, and I know we're on EU and I brought us back to NA and we can leave after this, but
hey, NA number 1.
You have to go down 4 spots on Master League to find a warrior player in his hero pool. Wow. Like that's not the main warrior. I'm sorry. Like we were talking before the show about what my highest levels are. It's ETC and Muradin because I'm a warrior player, right? Yeah. Like this is not.
And ETC is the best warrior in the game.
Until now, he got nerfed, and I hate it.
I refuse.
I still love him. Don't get me wrong, I love him. I got my little. You guys can see. I got my little thing on my desk.
Oh, Bags has all those too.
So, but he got nerfed hard, and they haven't brought him back to where he really needs to be competitive. I still love playing him, but he's not as competitive.
Listen, if I do have to play warrior, it will be ETC. I don't care. I love him. I love his voice lines.
His voice lines are great.
His voice lines are the best in the game.
Peace. I'm out.
But but like what you were saying about how exactly, like your tank sets the tone. Like Bags and I, granted, Bags and I we grew up together, so like we know each other's like style of play and everything, and so we could play off that too. But like if I'm playing like Illidan, and he's on who do we combo that with? Varian all the time. Like he's always like, all right, Guaz, whenever you're ready, like, you and I were going to initiate this fight. Or, like, whoever, like, we're each on. Like, if I'm on, like, it doesn't even matter. We're always, like, working that out. So it's like, you can, if you know that even at our silver gold pleb level, that is what's important. That's what sets the tone of your team.
Yeah.
And you're not translating that as a pro, then, like you said, you need to get better or get gone. Like,
no,
exactly.
He won't last.
Hopefully Blade is listening, and he took a lot away from that conversation.
If not Blade, at least Equinox, right?
we should tweet the link to both of them, just like, hey, guys.
You might want to take a listen.
And if you need coaches.
I know a couple. So to hop back over to EU, because somehow we ended up on the Mayflower back in Plymouth.
Hey,
Mighty Ducks, which has, I think it's more along it's been their schedule. They've had to play the top 3 teams in EU the last 2 weeks. They're now sitting third to last. They're just above Synergy. So I don't know if it's going to be them and Synergy duking it out to avoid the Crucible. I want to say that they've just had a tough schedule, and as things ease up here, they'll distance themselves a little bit, and it'll just be Synergy and Be Genius dogfighting it down there.
They're going to beat Trick this weekend and push them back up. So it'll be Synergy and Be Genius.
So I don't know. Trix has brought Team Liqiud to full 5. I thought they were going to take the win. So maybe Trix has some stuff we don't know yet.
We'll see.
That might have been Rust too. It's hard to say. Team Liqiud was good this past weekend. So we shall see. So
you know what? I'm going to put money on Be Genius. They're going to stay in the league.
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
Silence.
Radio silence. All right.
Even the crickets outside stopped chirping.
So anything's possible, but it ain't gonna happen.
So following the Silk Road, we work our way over to Korea, and basically we've got it's L5, it's MVP Black, and then everyone else, and then Tempest in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like Korea is like super boring region just because it's those two.
So,
And then-
Well, it's those
then-
three, but
yes, but this past weekend, Tempest taking him all the way to 5 games was like,
it was the best match of all 3 regions
yes,
of the entire season.
yes, it was
No
insanely good.
It was
Yeah.
it was Heroes at its pinnacle. It was basically like we got like I thought that the MVP Black L5 match in the beginning of the season was going to be like our grand finals, world grand finals before the world grand finals in BlizzCon, but this was way better.
Right.
Tempest,
And
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, and I'm still to this day disappointed that Tempest lost and Tempo Storm like dropped him immediately.
Yeah.
Like what? Like here is granted they're number 3 in Korea right now, but
Might as
1,
well be
2, and
number
3
3
in
the
Korea,
world. Yeah.
right, are 1, 2, and 3 in the world at that point. So like Tempo Storm, why? Like I'm still confused by that decision, but okay, Tempest
Yeah,
like
didn't make
pushed.
sense.
They pushed L5 so hard, like way harder than L5 MVP was.
They were
like,
up.
way
They were
harder.
up 2-1. I mean,
Right.
they had like.
Which I also say, I don't know about your feelings on this, Liquid, but I hate that HGC is best of 5. I think it's way too long for a normal season.
So
I
here's
think
the
best
thing:
of 3 would be better.
best of 3 would probably be better, and I don't know. I struggle with this. I watch a lot of HGC. Like Friday night, if I'm really jazzed and like with it, I stay up and I even watch the Southeast Asian ones that cast Friday nights after. After
Babel and
NA.
J-How.
Yes, and like I put myself through like crazy amounts of no sleep to watch all this, but best of 3 would definitely be nicer than best of 5. However, I mean, I kind of get why they did best of 5 with like how they wanted to structure the league. So it's like it's a toss up, right? If you look at how they wanted to structure the league and what they wanted to make happen, and being the first time Blizzard's actually ever put like this serious of an emphasis on esports, I think the best of 5 made sense. But the problem is then you go into it like the Clash. What are you going to do? You're already doing best of 5s in your regular season,
And then
so you
do
can't
best
really
of
make
3
everything a
in the-
best of right.
Yeah.
Right, and that was the weird thing. They went to a best of 3, and it's like, wait, what? And all the open division games are best of 3. So it's like, I almost want them to solidify on. It would be nice for them to solidify on a best of 3, but it would also make it harder for them to own the entire block on Saturday and say no, from like 5 a.m. Eastern until basically 5 a.m. Eastern the next day, like you're watching Heroes, right? Like it. With it being a best of 5, they deliver 24 hours of Heroes when you follow the world.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I hated that. Like I think it was 2 weeks ago. You know, Tempo didn't start playing until like almost 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, this could. I mean, they ended up 3-0. I think it was when they were playing Team 8, and they ended up 3-0ing them. But that could have potentially been,
Yeah.
you know, a couple more hours. Still, that's like, okay.
It's
Come on.
pretty clear that Blizzard did not cater to people that wanted to watch everything.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting too, and like one of my pet peeves, I feel like other regions are underrepresented. So we have Korea, EU, and NA now hosted full time on Blizz Heroes, right? But China's hosted over on Kendrick Switch's account, which props to him for doing it. Like I appreciate it because now I can watch China, and I watch China Monday, Tuesday, right?
He's from Germany
And
too.
then-
I don't know how he does that. He's got to like change up his entire schedule.
Right? But then you also have Babel and J-How doing it over on Blizzard C. And it's like, dude, like why are we not hosting all these on Blizz Heroes? And why is the main Heroes Esports Twitter account not tweeting about anything but like the big 4, right? You never get any Latin American news, you never get any South American news, you never get any, you hardly get any Southeast Asian news. And like I legitimately try to consume all of it to the point where at one point I was offering to cast Latin America games because I'm like, dude, nobody else is casting. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, I forget who was the player bags that was also talking about that because that's also like Blizzard, like on their end that they're not committing
right.
Resources
like
down
money,
there.
yeah, exactly.
I don't
resources.
remember his name. It was the guy
There was
from
there's-
Infamous.
Yeah. From yes, he was complaining about that and saying, look, they're not spending any money here, and they're
Yeah.
not, right? which is fine. Like I get Blizzard's going to pick and choose where they spend their money.
It's got to be economical for them too. So that's
right.
That's the
right.
Yeah, because Blizzard's hurting for money.
What's economical about not tweeting or not letting it be hosted on the main channel?
Agreed. It's not very difficult. It's not very difficult.
We're not that's not rocket science, but.
Liqiud, at BlizzCon, we're making a petition, and we're going to get everybody to sign it. We're going to bring it up to the Heroes dev team.
And just hand it to them.
Do something.
Do something about this, right? I don't know if I'm going to be able to, though, because I've already told my troll buddies, I'm going to, camp at the HGC stage, and, I'm not moving. I'm going to watch all the games.
I was there 2 years ago with our buddy Protein, and my girlfriend when they had the giant break when Cloud9 won.
Yeah.
Right? When everything they had the audio issues and everything.
The 3-hour fix. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And our buddy Protein saved our seats, and we went and enjoyed BlizzCon while he sat there in front of it. So
I'm gonna be the one sitting in the seats, saving the seats, because I don't want to miss any. I don't want to miss any HGC. At the same time, I'm kicking myself. Dude, I spent money on this ticket. I'm gonna spend money on traveling out there. I could watch that shit at home on a stream.
No, I feel it. It's gonna be hard trying to fit everything. Although, granted, I hate that they're bringing back the Overwatch World Cup, so I'll probably get a couple games and be like, all right, see, I'm going over to Heroes.
Well, I like watching WoW Arena too. So at least when I'm watching at home, I can flip between the stream and still watch the Arena games.
It's a lot of fun to watch. It's deceptively fun. You wouldn't think.
Right. Well, that's what I started with. So I was a threes player on a rogue for a long time. Then I was a competitive raider, and we were number 3 on our server for a long time. And then I went into Heroes, and because I just don't have time to do the other stuff anymore. But so I love watching.
Story of our lives.
Story of our lives.
Yeah,
right? You get old and you have a family, and the next thing you know, you just can't play competitive raiding anymore.
Yeah, it's just I actually just spaced on what I was about to say.
You know what? I know what you were about to say. You were about to say we still have to go over the China HGC.
Oh, that's what it was.
There you go. So, China is a land of wonder and mystery sometimes, and that translates to the HGC as well. So CE, a team that none of us were really familiar with, was undefeated, and we didn't really know how good they were going into this weekend, but they were finally playing a team that was solid. SPT, we know Super Perfect Team. They've showed up at international events. And long story short, they lost, but it was a really entertaining series. It went the full 5. And you got the idea that, it's going to be SPT, Super Perfect Team, and CE, which I don't know what that stands for. It just says CE on the Heroes HGC site.
Well, are you trying to say that the Heroes HGC site isn't very good?
That's not what I heard.
It's getting there.
It's not like for Dorm you could click every team and see detailed infographics about every team. Come on,
right? Why is that not there, and why do we not have an API yet, Blizzard?
Yeah, but we're not saying that. That's not what we were talking about.
The response when I made that post on Reddit, the response I got was that Tespa provided that information apparently. But
yes, yes and no.
It wasn't very
satisfying. But it's not hard. It's not hard to do the exact same thing for 8 teams as opposed to 64.
So here's what was interesting. Tespa did a lot of it, but then oh god, I'm forgetting his name. So we interviewed Haloran on the Nexus Trolls 2 weeks ago, and I asked him that question. I'm like, how did you guys get stats? How was that stuff fed to you? And he told me the name of the guy, and I'm totally going blank on his name now. But he has a little C# program he wrote, or a C++ program he wrote, that you feed it stuff, and it just goes and grabs all the data from hotslogs and then gives you stats on players too. So Tespa was providing a lot of that, but then the casters were actually getting it themselves for Norm. So there was no Blizzard doing that. Now Blizzard needs to just do an API and call it a day.
They said
because there's a million people, right? But they haven't released it because I don't think it's important to them. But there's a million people out there that will make use of that API and do all of this stuff for them if they would just release the API.
And they can't say that they haven't released it because it's not done yet because they released a certain game that we're talking about that wasn't done yet.
Right. So, but what's interesting to me about CE, and I think what's going to happen here, CE on Monday is playing E-Star Gaming. And I think I'm going to have my wife bring the kids to school because that game happens at 6 a.m. when I'm supposed to be driving them. Because I want to watch that game. That game is going to be the game to watch on Monday.
There you go. Didn't even add that at the look ahead. Shame on me.
Everybody misses China. It's okay, man.
Wow. Bags is off the show. Liqiud, you want to be the new co-host?
My wife will kill me if I do another regular podcast. Are you kidding me?
All right, fine, Bags. You survive another week.
So, but I don't see anyone taking down E-Star. I think E-Star's got a really good shot at running the table over here. And
E-Star is going into the mid-season brawl as the number 1 seed from China.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
And probably, I mean, you could make the argument maybe the 4th best team in the world. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I want to take a look at it next week, and I broke it down by day, and I just kind of like picked, I went through each region and just kind of picked off some matchups that I thought were interesting. Interestingly enough, even though NA is like the spiciest region because it's so unpredictable and just anything can happen and you can get Robot Muradin carrying a team to victory, I didn't have any NA matchups here picked. Friday, we've got the Mighty Ducks playing Tricked, and it's just we're going to find out if they're really struggling or if it's just been a tough schedule, and we'll see if Tricked is for real or what's going to happen. Liqiud, you already projected the Ducks to win.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. That's going to be really interesting on Friday.
I want to throw one Friday match out, and this is only because we talked a little bit about this earlier.
Yep.
No Tomorrow B-Step is going to be a very telling match.
It's
not going to be an interesting match, but it's going to be a telling match, and that's going to tell us.
We're going to see if No Tomorrow is like if they've really made big improvements and if B-Step is really struggling as much as they appear to be.
I think in my opinion, for me, actually, the games to watch are actually both No Tomorrow matches. Friday against B-Step and then Sunday at 7. Well, says 7:30 against Superstars because that was who they lost to when they came back. But who knows with how they've been playing and Murabot, never know. I think both of those.
See, that's the thing with NA, right?
I agree.
Is like none of those are going to be like your title card like fights. Like they're not going to be like your prime time. Like, but every single one, there's like an interesting storyline to it. There's like there are a lot of variables. That
it's like it's like
well, and go ahead.
I was just gonna say if you guys or anybody listening or watching, watches wrestling, it's like you have Sami Zayn, right? Who's like he's not the big dog. He's not John Cena, right? He doesn't get those huge title matches. But if you ever watch this dude wrestle, he puts on a heck of a match that like the match can last 5 minutes or it can last 35 minutes, and that whole time you're glued to it because you're just like, oh my god, And I think that's kind of how
he puts on one hell of a show. Is that
exactly?
He does. He does.
And that's how I kind of put these matches where they're not title card matches, but like they're still. I won't put exciting, like you said, like they're not going to be exciting, but they're very telling. Like it's still going to be interesting to watch.
Well, it's like, and that's NA as a whole, especially this weekend, right? We know Tempo Storm's going to dumpster an Eventic. We know Tempo Storm's probably beating Team Freedom. Okay. Superstars Team 8 might be interesting. No Tomorrow and seeing what they can do is definitely going to be interesting. The matches to watch, like Bags is getting ready to tell us, are definitely the EU matches this week.
Oh my gosh. All right, so now that we've officially compared NAHGC to the WWE, and it was a very relevant and accurate metaphor. So transitioning from that, I don't know how to top that, is in all caps here, we've got Team Liqiud facing Fnatic. We've got Team League versus it's all caps in the notes for a reason, boys.
That's gonna be. I mean, I love Fnatic. I am a giant Fnatic fanboy. I mean, I love Dignitas too, but the only reason I don't have a Fnatic jersey is because they didn't have. I do have. Oh yeah. Literally forgot that I'm actually wearing a Liqiud jersey right now. But the only reason I don't own a Fnatic one is because they didn't have one in my size at PAX East. But yeah, so. Man, I wish I had a Fnatic one I could splice them for this weekend.
Right?
So it's definitely going to be an exciting match to watch.
That's the title fight. That's the fight to see who at least in the regular season is the best in EU. Yep. It's the fight for first place.
Is Fnatic still second?
Yes, and they've only lost once, and it was only to Team Liqiud or Misfits at the time. But whatever, that roster.
Yep.
And And Fnatic has looked great, and I mean Liquid, at least the first week when they came back, looked rusty. So we'll see.
Yep.
I mean, that's going to be probably the premier matchup this entire weekend. But Sunday we get another great matchup, which is Team Liquid versus Dignitas, and we get to. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's going to be. My God, EU is so lucky this weekend. That's going to be amazing because Dignitas is coming off the Clash win. They looked incredibly strong last weekend. It's just
that's Dig's chance too, because Team Liquid's already going to be tired from the day before playing Fnatic, because that game is not going to not be stressful, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's going to be Dig's chance, and we could see something crazy, right? So let's say Team Liquid loses both to Fnatic and Dig for some weird reason. I think they'll beat Fnatic. I think Dig might have a good chance of beating him. But we could suddenly see Fnatic, Dignitas, and then Liquid being 1, 2, 3 in EU.
Yeah, we could see it. Yeah, we could see a 1, 2, 3 swap around going on.
Yeah. What a mess.
And I do have a Dignitas jersey, so maybe I'll splice these two.
That's gonna be.
It's gonna be a good weekend, though. It's a good weekend for games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Now watch. Now that we say that, even though last week we were like, "Oh man, look at these matches. They're not going to be exciting." So now that we say that these are going to be exciting, they're probably going to be the dullest things we've ever seen.
Right.
That's how it works. So
both teams have to forfeit from DCs.
Murabot's gonna play for both teams.
Exactly.
Return. So I think we have finally navigated the perfect storm of Heroes of the Storm esports news, and we have finally made our way to Hearthstone.
Well, anything else you want to add about the games or anything else in Heroes, Liquid?
No, I think we covered all of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we can easily spend another couple hours, though.
I mean, I could, but I was gonna try and let you guys finish up.
We're gonna have to do an after show. Well, luckily for us, in Hearthstone, segue.
Smooth.
Global games are still way too many games to actually talk about everything that's happening. But the most important is that USA won again, and they are 2-0. I feel like
that's the most important thing.
That's the most important. Again, seriously, there are way too many games on that. Honestly, if we covered every single global game match that happened, it would probably be almost or just about as long as the Heroes
It'd be
segment.
almost as long as the Hero segment. Almost.
Yeah, because there's 8 groups of like I don't even know how many teams. They're just
I mentioned it last week. I don't even remember.
Yeah,
it's like
way too much. But also, we did have the Hearthstone Collegiate Championships, which did conclude over the weekend. Rutgers University met up with, I asked the Canadian, apparently it's just pronounced École Polytechnique of Montreal, so Polytechnic School of Montreal. And Rutgers won 2-1, which means that the 3 players from Rutgers are each getting $10,000 in scholarship money, which is, that's amazing, first of all. But now if the Canadian school won, that $10,000 would probably pay for their 4 years of college. Here in NA, they're going to get a book.
Not rubbing any salt in that wound or anything.
Listen, I'm very salty about all the stuff that's going on now with college tuition because I'm like, whoopsie-doo, I still owe a lot of money for my yeah, I'm a little upset about it. And also, esports
we missed it, man. We were off the bubble by like 5 years. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, like
that train.
Even though this is in Blizzard,
after we left.
But like League of Legends got to what it is like the year after we or like 2 years after we graduated college.
I played League when it first came out while I was in college.
Yeah,
and that was before it was huge.
And so obviously that's before. I mean, wow, Arena existed, but obviously that's way before Heroes, way before Overwatch, way before Hearthstone. So
we just missed it, man.
Yeah, we missed it because we don't talk about fighting games on the show. So yeah, that's it. Congratulations though to Rutgers University, to those players. Seriously, like
earning
that's
that
incredible.
Scholarship money while on the toilet.
Yeah. I'm not saying that that's how you play Hearthstone, but I'm heavily implying it. But no, I mean it is a fun game. Also with Unguro coming out now, so it is a fun game. It is really fun to play. But seriously, huge congrats to those players because I love that Blizzard does this with their games that, like, I'm waiting for them to do this with Overwatch. And now you
Yeah.
do see other
It's coming.
you do see Riot. You know, we don't talk about them, but you do see them also do this with for college players too. So I think it's just great as a whole in like esports scene in the world that you can earn your college tuition or just some money to like take off some of the load of having to pay for this. You know, something where seriously here in NA or here in America, college is getting to the point where, you know, it's unaffordable for a lot of people now compared to, you know, even like 15 years ago. And so I just love that Blizzard is doing this. Seriously, like that, I don't know, it just really hits like home for me that they do this. And so huge congrats to those players, because hopefully you can do it again, get more money, pay for another book, and you know, just keep it rolling.
Now, if only they awarded scholarships for killing the Lich King in college, that would have been
Right?
That would have been.
I still wouldn't have gotten money. I quit right before that. I took my hiatus from WoW right before then. But WoW Arena, now they haven't really given us a schedule. If you go to the Twitch channel, all it says is that the European. I should stop sitting so far back because the lighting's bad. All it says is that the European, the EU Cup #1 is happening later this month. Blizzard, please give us a schedule or something. Give us some heads up about when this is going to happen. I had to dig through so much just to find that the second NA Cup will be happening May 5th, which is that next week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's starting next weekend already. So that's the second one. Where's the news about EU
Don't
Cup
worry,
1?
man. Well, there'll be like a tweet on Thursday that it's happening on Friday.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Probably. But as we said before, it is deceptively fun to watch. Like when they announced this, Bags and I were like, okay, that's cool. Like, you know, we used to do PvP, so like, okay, that's cool. We'll watch if we can. And then we actually missed the first weekend. Like I don't remember who texted whom, but we were just like, dude, did you realize that this happened this weekend? Let's watch these VODs. And it was so much fun to watch. So I'm excited for the second cup. I want to watch more of it. I wish that we could get a structured schedule so that we know when it is. And so I can get my fill of not sleeping because I'm watching all these shows, all these games. But I think that's also why I don't watch the Chinese games, because at some point I need to sleep.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Sleep is overrated.
Oh, very true. But with that, is there anything else?
Well, I was
No?
going to mention that I did log into WoW. I forgot to mention this in my weekend gaming. Because of WoW Arena, I logged into WoW and I did the Gravity Lapse brawl, because they introduced brawls to WoW.
Dude,
PvP.
I didn't know you logged on because I resubbed also.
Yeah. So.
Although, okay, yeah, I didn't mention that because I logged resubbed. I'm actually having fun again on my Demon Hunter because I'm not playing my mage right now. Even though my mage is my main boo, but you know, I dabble. But no, when I did the scenario, Liqiud, are you still playing WoW or are you done?
No, I haven't played since right before Legion came out.
Oh, you were a stronger man than I.
So when I resubbed just the other day, and I did the scenario for getting to the Broken Shore. And so after all the scenario, right, you're chilling there with Khadgar on one side. I'm like, whatever, Khadgar. I've been seeing you for like the last forever, last expansion and a half. And then right in front of him is Illidank, towering over him. And now, not just the fact that I'm playing a Demon Hunter, Illidan is my favorite WoW hero or WoW character.
Yeah.
So I turn around and I see this and I'm just like, my savior, my lord. Like I was just so excited to see him in game and not us killing,
and not you killing him.
Yeah. Or you know, trapping as a trap. Not freezing him in carbonite. But so that I did like that.
I mean, I've been tempted to go back just so I can play through the storyline because it seems really, really good. I play HOTS too much.
I'm actually having fun on as much as I hate the grind of basically dailies, you know, of doing the world quest, on Broken Shore is actually a lot of fun right now. Even though it's just like a small, tiny area, I'm actually having a lot of fun on there, just like
but Gwaz,
zipping
it's the biggest content patch they ever released.
Thought you couldn't do anything for the first 2 weeks. Yeah, whatever. But other than that, I believe we're done. Finally,
Yes, we are done.
It is now 2 days later.
Finn.
I think my beard grew back in this time. So yes, that is the show. Liqiud, where can people follow you?
So you can follow me on Twitter at LiqiudGG, that's LiQIUDGG, or at Twitch, twitch.tv/LiqiudGG, which is also LiQIUDGG. So those are the two best places. And
definitely all check out the Nexus Trolls. It's a great show. You stream it live.
Yep. Yes, we stream it live at 7:30 Wednesdays, www.twitch.tv/the Nexus Trolls. And then I also do 323 Weekly Live, which is Thursdays at 7, and that's twitch.tv/DB Smiley. So
and that
awesome.
Shows,
yeah.
That's the esports show.
Yes. Yeah. We focus on primarily NA and HEC. HEC. So what DB Smiley does is actually really cool. So if you watch Reddit at all,
he's like the analytics guy, right?
Yes. Yeah. He does posts about power rankings and ELO. Yeah. And actually GFE just started carrying his posts. Awesome. So he's actually writing it and posting on GFE. But then we break down NA a little bit deeper, go through best plays, best team, things like that. And go through the game. I actually picked B-Step to do better last week than they did, and felt kind of disappointed and had to eat my crow on Twitter when I was like, yeah, man, I called that wrong, and B-Step disappointed me last week. So.
But yeah, awesome. So definitely all check out his shows and him and follow all those guys. And do you want to shout out anybody? No, if you want.
No, I mean, I'll throw a shout out for Daz, at Daz Hots on Twitter. That he gave me an incredible opportunity by letting me do the esports segment on the Nexus Trolls, and that's just developed into this thing. Yeah. That I was already passionate about HCC, but he gave me an outlet for it. So thanks, Daz.
Awesome. Yeah, and as you guys have seen in the show or heard in the show too, this guy's really helping the amateur scene for NA Hot. So
he's a pillar of the community, folks.
Pillar of the community. He's better than both of us combined. Okay.
I wouldn't go that far, but I try, man. I try.
I 100% would. Bags, how about you?
You can follow me on Twitter at powerup_bags. You can watch me stream hardly ever on twitch.tv/bags, but I do tweet it out when I'm doing something, if anyone's interested. And that's about it. Where can people follow you, Guaz?
On Twitter at Sean Mess and twitch.tv/Guaz. GHWOZZ, because somebody has my actual handle and it pisses me off. So yeah. We 100% should have announced this at the beginning of the show, because there's a good chance that people tuned out, especially when we actually said this was the end of the show. But we do have a Patreon, brand new Patreon, patreon.com/theweeklyblizz. It's just a way, the show will always be free, but it's just a way to help support us be able to put out more content, put more resources into the show to give you better quality content, more content. There's perks on there too, like games with us, we'll do specific shows tailored to what you want, more in depth about something, like any games or whatever you guys want. So definitely go check it out, patreon.com/theweeklyblizz. You can also subscribe on YouTube at the search by searching the Weekly Blizz. Weekly Blizz. You can subscribe and turn on the notification button so you know when new episodes are up. We've had some issues with last week's episode that are getting handled. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play, other podcast apps. And even if you're not on iTunes,
that's to another one. I just don't remember the name of it this past week too.
Oh, okay. So we're out there. So if you use the one that we don't know, we're probably on it. Please, even if you're not an iTunes user, go on there, give us a 5-star review. Really helps us out a lot, puts our show up there more. You can email the show at theweeklyblizz@gmail.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Facebook at The Weekly Blizz. And also thank you to Nicholas Dominic for the amazing music that we use at the beginning and end of our show. And with that, we know the show is long, but thank you for sticking through and watching and listening to the end. And that is it. We will see you next week. See you.
It's about quality, not quantity. Or both, in this case. Peace out.